For the longest time, we had this really simple idea about communication. You send a message, somebody gets it. End of story. But what if that's just completely wrong? Today, we're diving into a huge shift in thinking, this move away from just sending a message to actually creating meaning together. So let's start with this puzzle that experts have been chewing on for decades. What really makes a message work? Is it some genius slogan? Is it the credibility of the person saying it? Or, and here's the big twist, does the real power actually belong to the person listening?
To get to the bottom of that, we've got to go back, way back, to the oldest, simplest way of looking at things. This was the era of the one-way message, when we literally thought of communication as a kind of pipeline.
And here it is, the classic transmission model, all the way from 1949. The idea was super simple. You have a sender who pushes a message through a channel, like a pipeline, to a receiver on the other end. The only thing that could mess it up was what they called noise, like static on the radio. It was neat, it was tidy, and it was a straight line. But think about it. Does that really sound like our world today? A world of comment sections and 5-star reviews and instant replies? No way. The thing is, nobody is just a passive receiver anymore. And that one little realization, it sparked a total revolution. And this is where we get to that big aha moment. All of a sudden, the focus just completely flipped. It wasn't about the act of sending anymore. It was about this much messier, much more interesting process of how we create meaning. This quote from David Berlow, all the way back in 1960, just nails it. Meaning does not reside in words or media, but in people. What he was saying is that the meaning isn't magically baked into the words themselves. It's constructed inside our heads, right? It's shaped by our experiences, our culture, our biases. We aren't just empty buckets waiting to be filled with information. We're active interpreters of everything we see and hear. So here's the side-by-side. The old transmission model, it's linear, the receiver is passive, and the meaning is supposedly in the message. But the new co-creation model, it's interactive, the receiver is an active interpreter, and the meaning, well, the meaning is in people. And that one little shift, it changes everything. Okay, so how did this new idea actually change things in the real world? Well, for brands, it was a game changer. It forced them to completely rethink their strategy. They couldn't just stand on a soapbox and shout messages anymore. They actually had to step down and join the conversation. The answer to this new challenge was something called Integrated Marketing Communications, or IMC. The world was getting fragmented, right? You had TV ads, social media, in-store displays. The goal became crystal clear. Make sure it's one brand with one consistent voice, no matter where a customer bumps into you. And you can't find a better example of this than Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign. It was genius. Coke didn't just broadcast an ad about friendship. Nope. They gave people a framework, this idea of sharing, and then they basically handed over the microphone. By swapping their famous logo for people's names, they turned every single customer into a potential storyteller, co-creating millions of personal moments about connection that spread all over social media. But, this power to co-create meaning, it's not just about fun marketing campaigns. It comes with some pretty heavy responsibility. And that brings us to public relations, where you're constantly walking this very fine line between persuasion and, well, manipulation. In this world, trust is the only currency that really matters. I mean, just look at the history of PR. It's this wild journey from pure hype to real responsibility. It started back in the 19th century with showmen like P.T. Barnum and his crazy circus promotions. But over time, it started to grow up. A formal code of ethics was created in 1950, and then the legendary Tylenol crisis in 1982 really cemented a new way of thinking. PR was no longer about just getting attention. It was about building long-term trust. Now let's jump to a modern example where that trust was really put to the test. The airline KLM launched this big campaign all about being a sustainable choice. Fly responsibly, they said. Sounds good, doesn't it? Very forward-thinking. Yeah, except a Dutch court ruled the whole thing was misleading because the airline couldn't actually back up its claims. This is a perfect example of what happens in our co-creation world. Making promises you can't keep isn't just a marketing oopsie. It's a fundamental breach of trust that has very real, very public consequences.
So all of this brings us to right now, to the reality of communication today. We are all living and talking in this massive global digital town square. And the biggest difference is, for the first time in history, absolutely everyone has a voice.
And this digital square isn't just one place. It's this complex ecosystem with at least 4 different zones. You've got the social community zone for building relationships. You've got social publishing for sharing content and ideas. There's social entertainment for games and fun, and social commerce for shopping. And in every single one of these zones, meaning is being negotiated and co-created 24/7 by billions of people.
And in this incredibly connected space, the stakes are just so high. Every single thing we post, every comment, every photo is potentially instant, global, and permanent. What you say can literally echo forever.
And that brings us to the dark side of all this, captured in that viral story that became known as #PlaneBay. It all started when one passenger decided to live tweet a private conversation she overheard between 2 strangers on a plane. Their personal moment was turned into public entertainment without their permission, and it led to doxing, harassment, just awful stuff. It forces us to ask a really tough question. When we're all publishers, where on earth do we draw the ethical line?
So we've gone from a simple pipeline to this messy, amazing, and sometimes scary digital town square. Communication isn't a monologue anymore. It's a massive, chaotic, ongoing collaboration. In this world of co-creation, your message isn't just what you say, it's what all of us together decide it means. So the only real question left is, what meaning will you help create?